Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Catholic Spotlight. Joining me today is Tony Rino, a man about town in Calgary. And we're going to talk about Tony's faith. Tony's well known in the Catholic community and elsewhere for his singing and his charitable works. So Tony, let's talk about your journey. And where did all this start for you, about being a Catholic?
Thanks, Mario, for taking the time to interview me. I'm humbled. Gosh, where did it start? I mean, at the beginning,
Yeah.
I was born Catholic. Really, I still celebrate the baptism birthday of, March 25th. And so, yeah, it's kind of obviously been a key to my life and growing up. It was an integral part of our faith. Both my grandmothers were just so committed to prayer. My mom, too, of course. Dad, my father had a huge commitment to the Italian community and the Catholic faith for his whole life. So, it's just part of who I am.
When you were young, what were the visible signs to you in your household that carried the Catholic faith?
Well, I mean, culturally Italian as well. So,
Yeah.
there were no shortage of statues in our living room and stuff. And I think, for me, I can honestly say it was seeing faith in action. It wasn't just, statues and crosses on the wall and, pictures in every room, which there was. But seeing, my dad in particular, always attending church. He was the choir leader at St. Andrew's Italian Church in Inglewood, kind of close to where Spolumbo's is now. We'd go there every single week. Grandma would come, his mom, we would take her and some friends and my mom and, every week. And there was just a real strong commitment that they had to prayer, to the rosary, and it shows. And we didn't just go to church to hang around. We were there to pray, and I think uh, it really came through. And it's funny when you say this. Another kind of factor, I suppose, is that I was born in Canada, but my parents came from Italy, and they really didn't know many people other than the folks who were Italian, right? And
Yeah.
so that cultural piece, I think, really overlapped with the faith, because we went to the Italian church. You met with people that maybe you don't see until every Sunday, and it really helped bond us together. So it's always been a
Hmm.
neat sort of collaboration of faith and culture.
Yeah, like when you look at the faith, Tony, what has it meant for you? Uh, before I get into that, let me ask you, like, did you ever walk away in any way? Like, when most kids get to a certain age,
Yeah,
their teens, maybe their early 20s, and you know what, I'm one of them, right?
yeah.
Yeah, kind of you walked away, but you came back. So I'm curious if you ever walked away.
That's the CHP, the Catholic Hiatus Program. Is that what you're referring to? That's what I've heard it as. Yeah, for sure. I think during, up until junior high and high school, I was pretty involved. I think there was definitely a time, sort of in high school, university, where I was sort of moved away from it, only because I was busy. I think I don't feel like I lost too much faith. At the former Italian church, which was Our Lady of Grace Church, I think in the early mid 80s, they formed a youth group. There was a pretty progressive priest there at the time. Father Ricardo was his name. And he kind of spearheaded, along with a bunch of others, a youth group, and it was just fantastic. So, I was a member of the executive of that youth group, and it really did help us to come together. And I think culturally, again, That held us back then. This is like mid 80s. It was a big drawing card for us to go to church. I mentioned earlier that you're there to pray. Well, we were there to have fun too,
Yeah.
right in that era, and it was great to catch up with people and see people. So, yeah, I mean, I think for sure there was always a bit of a there was a time definitely where I didn't go to church as often, but the prayer and example in my family was always there. They never faded, right? So.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your faith today. What impact do you think your faith has on your life, both personal and professional?
No, I think it's there's a lot of tests of our faith as we get older, certainly. Seeing loved ones getting older and friends and family passing away and just kind of wondering what it's all about. But also having that sort of bedrock of faith, of understanding is what really guides you. And I call it a test because you've been praying beautifully like a child for, a good part of your life.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden life hits you square, right?
Yeah.
As it did for me and my family last year, we lost like four, including my mom, mom, aunt, uncle in the span of a few months. So it was quite a test for the whole family. And what I've seen is, and it's always difficult. But what I've seen is such a strength of coming together and understanding, that we're here for a reason, for a purpose, and the journey is so much more enjoyable when you're with people who understand that. And in a faith community like St. Michael Catholic community where I am, I'm blessed to be surrounded with such amazing, talented, faith-driven people. Singing in the music ministry is just a pleasure. So it's really helpful. So yeah, I mean, we're in Lent as we're recording this, and fully aware of the importance of faith and the importance of my Catholic faith guiding me through life. So yeah, I don't think I ever really questioned it. And there was one time I remember my mom was worried in university days when I took Philosophy 101 and I met this
Yeah.
incredible professor who came in with this big smile. He looked like Santa Claus without the gray. And he was a complete atheist, and he started to throw arguments my way, and I was like, wow, can people be happy and not believe in God? But I mean, that wasn't. It was just a speed bump, I would say, along the way. So yeah, there's never been doubt.
So you mentioned St. Michael's, and yeah, I know you and the family, were longtime parishioners at the old Italian church, Our
Mhm.
Lady of Grace, and its predecessor before that. But tell me just your thoughts about being a parishioner at St. Michael's. What do you like about that church, and being there? I don't know how many years now, but
Yeah, it's more than 15, I think. And I think what drew us to the church, well, a couple things. Like we lived at the time, a few blocks from where the new church was being built. So we were really excited to see it. My sister, had been in the music ministry for a few years. So we went a couple of times to see St. Michael's at its previous location down on 45th Street in Bow Trail. And just the energy was like it's remarkably different, obviously, at that time, especially from sort of the traditional, very traditional Italian church
yeah.
that we went to, and it was just a big draw. Honestly, it was time. Our kids were not as engaged as we wanted them to be. For whatever reason, the wonderful community part of the former Italian church just kind of wasn't there as it was, 30 years, 20 years previously.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So combined with seeing the new church go up, and the excitement around it, and we just felt it was time to go there. And what's happened is we just love it. We've become part of the community, welcomed in. I was super. I remember being really nervous to audition for the former music director at the time, to sing on one of their music teams, because the music ministry was just so awesome. It still is. It's so cool. Like, I don't think I know of any church where there are so many music volunteers that there are actually four teams, right? And so what that does, as a volunteer on the ministry, is it gives us the opportunity to really focus. So we'll get a week every 4 weeks, but we do all of the masses, the three main masses that week. So we'll do Saturday night, Sunday at 9, and Sunday at 11. Come in Saturday at 3:30, do a good rehearsal, and you're just, really polished by the time 11 o'clock rolls around. And then the bonus is you're with such incredible people throughout. You take a break between the services and you hang out with them, and they're just like everybody on my team. And I know my sister's on a different team with her husband. There's even a youth team, but I know that there's this bond that we all sort of have, and they're some of the closest friends I have, honestly. You grow together, in faith and in life. So that's kind of the bonus for me of being at St. Michael's. But it's a big church, absolutely. It's maybe easy to get lost, but I think that could be a bonus for people who want to go and just sit quietly and pray. They can do it, because there's that big community that they can sort of isolate themselves in, or
Mhm.
or be alone in, but also they have the option of participating, right? So I think it's a wonderful balance of being able to go and pray, and being able on your own, and also with others.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Tony, for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. I could have gone on longer, I suppose, but Mario, thanks for doing this. Appreciate the spotlight and the opportunity to talk, and take care.
All right, wonderful. That was Tony Rino, a well-known Catholic in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Catholic Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.